Inflation held steady at 1.7% in May. Statistics Canada points to slower increases in shelter costs like rent and mortgages as a big factor keeping the annual pace of inflation lower. The removal of the consumer carbon price also continues to temper annual inflation at the gas pumps. Meanwhile, the cost of a new vehicle rose 4.9% annually last month, mainly because of more expensive electric vehicles. Concordia University's Dr. Moshe Lander joined us for his reaction to the inflation numbers.
The inflation number staying at 1.7% isn't much of a surprise. I think there's always this misconception that when we see some policy change, whether it's the Bank of Canada, whether it's a tariff war, we expect that there's going to be this instantaneous change in the way that people behave and the way that prices behave or the way that markets behave. That's often not the case. So if you remember during the increase in interest rates to try and rein in inflation, inflation took a while before it started responding. During the cuts, the thought was that this would prop up the economy, and it took a while before the economy responded or consumers responded. So in this case, I think that where people are looking at, well, why haven't we seen prices escalate because of this trade war? It's because it takes time. Suppliers have chains that go back through multiple stages, and those agreements are months, if not years, in the making. And so to be able to adapt does take some time. So overall, I think it's pretty good that the inflation rate is within the Bank of Canada's target range. It's on the lower side. If you strip out some of the more volatile components, though, and look at core inflation, it is a little bit towards the higher end, maybe a little bit uncomfortably so, and it does reflect that there is still some price pressure in the economy. I would add that the other thing to keep in mind is inflation tracks the change in prices of a basket of goods the typical consumer buys. And so I think we get distracted by maybe some of the headline numbers, what's rising faster than average or what fell precipitously. And we miss that these things all balance out. And so if you view yourself as being the typical consumer, then you should have experienced 1.7%. And I think we like to focus and obsess on the ones that rise quickly, especially when they're things like rent or energy prices or food prices. But we don't maybe give as much attention to the things that fall. And in this case, for example, energy prices and cell phone prices outright fell, and substantially so. And that does make up a big component of what people spend. And so I think that when we look at rent rising faster than average, we get angry, not realizing that there's a whole bunch of good news in that report as well.